got on the line Monika Bauerlein, who is the co-editor of Mother Jones magazine. Monika, thank you so much for being here with us today. We've all seen the video, and what we want to hear from you is, the source had leaked out segments of the video in recent weeks, but it was Mother Jones DC bureau chief David Corn who was able to convince the source to give him the entire video, and this is a video that looks to be shaping the presidential campaign. Can you give us a sense of what David Corn did to convince the source to hand over the video?
Absolutely. So just to give you a little bit of a backstory, David is a fantastic investigative reporter. And back earlier in the summer, he had started looking at Governor Romney's record at Bain Capital. You remember the controversy over offshoring investments that the firm had made. And David was able to confirm not only that there had been a number of investments involving offshoring of U.S. manufacturing, but also that Governor Romney had been involved with Bain longer than he had initially claimed, which was critical vis-a-vis the governor's rendition of how. Sorry, which was critical vis-a-vis the governor's account of when he was no longer involved with the company. And in the process of doing this reporting, a little later, David came across some clips from what seemed to be a Romney fundraiser, where the governor talked about visiting factories in China. These had been posted on YouTube anonymously. And, like any reporter, he thought, wow, this is interesting. If this is genuine, there's probably more there. And went about the process of tracking down the originator of this video. He worked in doing this with an independent researcher whom he had also made a connection with during the China Bain Capital reporting, named James Carter IV. And David didn't know at the time that Carter is actually the grandson of former President Jimmy Carter. Eventually, they were able to locate the anonymous source. David made a connection with them, and then over some time negotiated to get access to the video, and then a long process of fact-checking, verifying, and further reporting ensued to the point where we felt comfortable with the story.
And why do you think, I know the Huffington Post was also trying to convince the source to hand over the entire video. What do you think that David was able to do specifically that the source felt comfortable in giving him the video over the Huffington Post or other media outlets that were maybe becoming interested in these segments?
It was David's reporting. He had done a lot of reporting in this area. He was able to show the source that he had, and Mother Jones had, a track record of handling difficult stories accurately and delicately. And, it takes a long time in these kinds of situations to build trust with a source that you are after the truth and are also not going to burn them as a source.
And when you had this video in your hands, did you know what you had?
It was pretty apparent. It's a very candid Governor Romney we hear on this video, and it just seemed to immediately, when we heard the passages that have made so much news, it was clear that this connected with concerns that many people had about whether Governor Romney had a full understanding of the struggles of many people in difficult economic circumstances.
And do you think part of the impact, what's interested me is do you think the impact is not only what he said, but also that maybe the video may have confirmed people's critiques of Romney as, pandering and trying to come off as more conservative than maybe he really is?
That's right. We all know that in these situations, political candidates present a different persona than they do necessarily in public. That's fully understandable. I'm sure there's not a politician on the face of the planet who doesn't do that. But exactly what the difference is and how they accommodate donors and people with a vested interest in what they say is something that we don't usually see. And in this particular case, I think people saw it as revealing a side of the governor that they hadn't fully understood.
And we've heard Romney talk about the 47%. We're going to listen to a clip really quickly where Romney also talks about Obama supporters.
So, and by the way, when you say to them, do you think Barack Obama is a failure? They overwhelmingly say no. They like him, but when you say, are you disappointed that his policies haven't worked? They say yes. And because they voted for him, they don't want to be told that they were wrong, that he's a bad guy, that he did bad things, that he's corrupt. Those people that we have to get, they want to believe they did the right thing, but he just wasn't up to the task.
And have you heard from the Romney campaign at all since the publishing of this video?
Well, we heard from them the night the video published in a very public way when they held a press conference confirming that the video was authentic and that the statements that Governor Romney stood by, the statements made in it.
And so, you know, look, we had the Washington Post had Woodward and Bernstein. They had Deep Throat in a dark parking lot. Now we have Mother Jones, you know, and that helped to, what was revealed with those investigations helped to bring down President Nixon. We have David Corn, definitely not, you know, not a dark parking lot. We have YouTube, other social media, and it's, you know, in no way about bringing down a president, but it is shaping a presidential campaign. What do you think will be the ultimate impact of this video?
That's very difficult to say because, you know, as I keep reminding people, it is September, and no one thing in a presidential campaign decides the outcome. But this seems to have been a story that connected with many, many people, not just in this country, but around the world, and that I think it's fair to say will shape their impression of this candidate. I appreciate your comparison to Woodward and Bernstein. I think even though technology changes and the means by which we get our stories change, the journalists are always after a story. And when we get a good one, we just don't let go. They didn't then, and we didn't this time.
And just like people wanted to know for years, basically until his death, who Deep Throat was, people obviously want to know who the source is. All we know at this point publicly is that he has the Twitter handle Anonymous. What are you guys doing, and what is he doing to protect his identity, as there's kind of this hunt out there to try to figure out exactly who he is?
I'm not at liberty, of course, to tell you the particulars, but as with Deep Throat, from our point of view, the only way the identity of the source would be revealed is if they choose to come forward.
And there have been some concerns about legal liability, that this video was taken in a state, Florida, where another person, if they're being recorded, needs to be made aware that they're being recorded. I remember from my journalism law classes that that's not a problem for you guys as a publication because you received the video, you didn't actually do the recording. Can you tell us a little bit more about any legal concerns that you guys might have for this source who provided the video?
The source themselves has sought legal advice well before this all happened. And, you know, as you point out, for a news organization, there are no legal concerns in receiving material that may have been obtained in a way that journalists might not have been able to obtain it. So, yes, that's right. We were not involved in the making of the video at all. And that's the primary concern for us as a news organization.
And Monika, any more bombshells that you guys are waiting to throw into this political campaign?
Well, if they're bombshells, I can't tell you yet. But we will stay on the campaign story very, very hard, and we expect to break some more news.